1/3 of all beef, pork, and dairy cut right off the top. She's got an article in, Madeline just sent it to me, and again, I'm sorry, I know we're a little bit behind, so I guess she probably sent it to me while I was sick, but so we're getting caught up here on our videos, and she sent me this article about apparently the UK, the United Kingdom, the government there is trying to figure out how to make this happen by about 2030, but what they want to do is they want to cut 1/3 of beef, pork, and dairy production, and their whole thing is the global warming, and so we're not going to get into the global warming aspect of it on this video. What I will say is that it's certainly not fixed. Herbivores and omnivores heal land. They don't decimate the land if they're raised properly. So really, if they really wanted to help, they would be looking at doing grass-fed things, but they don't really want to help. They just want control. So it's, the global warming is kind of a touchy subject, so we're not going to touch about that. But if it is happening, and again, I'm not saying one way or the other, but if it is, the fix is not to get rid of farms. That doesn't help anybody. Getting rid of a bunch of food products that are not causing it, that we know even by the emissions, the emissions ratings does not come from agricultural areas. It comes from cities. So if you really want to control it, you control it in the cities, not in Iowa. Anyway, it's we're digressing there a little bit, but let's. What this is doing is it's just showing that if they feed on enough people's fear and they create the fear, then they can control the people, and we can get people to eat more soybeans rather than actual good beef products. So what they'll end up doing with this, and the way that they'll control this, is they'll start taxing it, right? So I don't think there's going to ever be this outright law that says, hey, you can't have beef. What they'll do is they'll put $1,000 per cow head tax, which will drive the price of beef up, which means that the consumer will start looking for alternatives. That's the easiest way to do it. And it's the easiest way to do it with dairy products, and because they put $1,000 a head tax on cows, that means that $1,000 a head tax has to be eaten by the consumer at the milk carton over the course of the next year. The other kind of concept with that is that realizes that the cattle rancher or the dairy farmer has to be able to absorb that cost initially until he can get it passed on to his consumer. So that initial cost is what causes problems. And then you start talking about, well, but those are food products. So we're already talking about having price control. So now the government says, okay, we're going to add $1,000 per cow head, and we're going to price control it. And so that way only the largest that can tolerate the very, very slim profit margins will be able to withstand it. Let me give you an example with eggs, right? So eggs are ridiculously regulated, but there's ways around the regulation with eggs, and pretty much if you don't label them, you don't have to regulate it at all. It's kind of a really weird thing. But eggs, the profit margin on eggs is very, very minimal. Store-bought eggs, the profit margin is a couple cents per packet per dozen. So the profit margins on eggs are really, really small. That's why if you go buy local, organic, natural, free-range, pasture-raised chicken eggs, whatever it is, they're going to be about $6 a dozen or so, and that I guarantee you they're only breaking even on it. They're actually not making any money. What the person selling it, all they're getting is they're going to get just enough to make sure that their feed is covered and that basically their eggs are free for them personally. So and eggs are a great way to get people to buy other products. That's why we've considered doing it. It's not that, because no matter how I run the math, it's very difficult for me to make money on eggs. But what it does is if it brings more customers in buying beef and pork, then that may be something that we add in the future just for that purpose. This is basically the same concept of what they'll end up doing, is what the governments want to do with the beef, the pork, and the dairy industries, is making it to where the profit margins are so small that only the largest organizations, only the Tyson chicken farms can survive. The small farmers can't survive, and they can't sell locally. And so over-regulating it and adding taxes on it is a very simple way of doing that. And it's a tax that most people won't feel initially, so the brunt of it doesn't get past them. So if I add $1,000 per head tax, and then I turn around in the same media sense, I can say, now it's just the greedy stores. It's Walmart being greedy while your price of beef is up. Well, Walmart's not making any more money. the beef producer is not making any more money. And even really in that model, there's the processor who's making the most money is Washington, and they kind of pass it all on to us. So this is scary because if it's coming to the UK, it's not a new idea here either, and it means that we will have people pushing that policy here. Whether that policy will pass here, whole different discussion. But it does mean that we'll have people pushing those policies. And I don't know about you, but I don't like seeing people push dangerous policies regardless of whether they'll pass or not. Regardless of whether we know the Supreme Court will rule it down or won't make it pass legislation or whatever it is, having people push dangerous policies is always a bad idea. It always carries with it some consequences. So that being said, let's stop this one where it stands. If we start hearing rumors about this one coming to the U.S., we need to be making sure that we're writing our congressmen and letting them know we are not okay with this. Realize the consequences of this and the way that these controls come down. There's no way to effectively say we're going to, as a government, reduce our beef, pork, and poultry industry and dairy industries by a third. The only way to do it is to add taxes that make it to where the consumer can no longer afford to do it. It's what they've tried to do with ammunition. It's what they've tried to do with basically everything that they want to control the supply of. So thanks again for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. I will post a link to the article here down in the description. So if you have any questions, you can look there and see kind of what's going on. We'll keep an eye on this and make sure that we don't see any craziness coming our way. But y'all know if it's starting over there, they're always kind of the bellwether for us. So we'll catch y'all next time. Thanks again for watching.